Now there must be audio. Now there is audio. You able to hear me? Got a lot of headache. Finally got it done. So we're going to discuss the post-Mauryan. And as I said, the post-Mauryan period may the primary people that we try to observe, or the primary kingdoms that we observe are Shatavahanas, Ikshvakus, Zabiras, Vakatakas in the south that you see, and foreigners like Greeks, Shakas, Kushanas, and Parthians. Now, there is one unique advantage with post-Mauryan architecture and post-Mauryan design actually. So, whatever they started in the Mauryan period, that will now continue in the post-Mauryan period. Like there will be religious scenery improvement, so we will see more Buddhist sculptures, more types of sculptures, more types of patterns. And the change in the socio-cultural pattern of India, or the socio-cultural setup of India, was very, very clearly reflected in the post-Mauryan architecture that we observe. And rock cut architectures reached its climax, reached its perfection during the post-Mauryan period. Reached its climax or reached its perfection during the post-Mauryan period. By the way, before we do that, guys, this Sunday, do not miss the combat. Combat this Sunday is at 11 a.m. and we recently today we started new batches of UPSC CSC, where I'm doing the comprehensive 1 year batch and 2 year batch history. Okay, now coming back in the post-Mauryan period, the cave architectures start to see a new wave of development in their quality. The new, a completely new wave of development in their quality. Okay, like existing stone structures were now being carved into better features and better patterns. Existing stone structures were being carved now from this period. Existing stone structures in the post-Mauryan period. For example, new modifications were also observed, very high level modifications from the old cave systems or cave patterns that we observed during the Mesolithic period. A completely new pattern. Sculptural designs, sculptural carvings, they also begin from here. And mostly in the western Deccan regions, early cave temples can be observed from 100 BC to 170 AD, 1st century BC to 2nd century AD period. Okay, so 1st century BC to 2nd century AD, we see plenty of cave patterns, cave structures, and development. Chaitya Vihara patterns start among the caves. See, until now in the Mauryan period, what we saw is cave structures. I mean, they build caves. These caves are not specific in terms of structure, pattern, or development. They have a specific style. They're large stone constructions from which something is carved out. That's it. They do not have anything specifically identified as a pattern of a cave structure or a pattern of a stone structure. That will change here. We see the development of Chaitya Grihas. Chaityas means prayer halls. Naturally, since prayer halls are often meant to be for a large congregation of the people, they are meant to be huge. They are meant to be big. They are meant to be wide. The second we see is the Vihara patterns. Viharas are naturally rest houses. They are meant for people to take rest. I mean, people to relax, and they're more like a holiday spot type for the monks. So these would be smaller constructions in terms of style. The post-modern caves are classified into two types: Chaitya Grihas and Viharas. The Chaitya Grihas are essentially prayer halls. Whereas viharas are more or less like rest houses. Most popular chaitya is Karle Chaitya. We will see that a little more in detail. Karle Chaitya with elevated impression, large size chaitya like this. Elevated impression. And then it had pillared halls. Elevated and pillared halls. It holds bulky pillar designs. These are what I call bulky pillars. These are bulky pillars and supported probably through timber. It has pillar timber beaming or timber structures here. Viharas were essentially residential halls or rest houses for the monks. Chaityas, most of the major chaityas and viharas of the post-Mauryan period were observed in western and eastern Ghats. So what they basically did is they take a stone mountain or a stone structure, then start carving it like a little cave, like a little structure. For example, in Western India, Bhaja caves, Karle caves, Kondane caves, Nashik caves, Chitaldo cave, Ajanta caves, Kanheri caves. Most of this, and similarly, Udaygiri and Khandagiri caves in Odisha. Plenty of caves. So in Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Naturally, Western Ghats are more stable and contiguous. You tend to observe a greater style of constructions in the Western Ghats. Feature larger are contiguous. The most important features of chaityas, they have long rectangular halls ending up in a semicircular at the end, like a little down in the end. These chaitya long halls are internally divided into nave on apse and two sides. Nave is basically a little canal, like a little, a long hall. The long hall that you see is a nave, and apse is basically the back. It comes like this and it ends this way, as like this. Suppose this is the nave hall. The roof, the edge comes this way, and the bulky roof is this on the top. This edging. So you and people enter from here, and these are the long pillar hall that I said. This you see now. The aisles are separated by from the nave by two rows of pillars. This one, two rows of pillars. Okay. Pillars come round the votive stupa placed at the center of the aspidal part of the nave. The hall has a barrel vaulted ceiling, like a barrel type of ceiling. Vaulted ceiling is channel type ceiling. And the doorway is usually placed at the votive stupa, the entrance stupa, and the facade and a horseshoe shaped window called the Chaitya window. Now, this is where I'll explain. See, this entire canal is basically nave. This is vaulted roof, and this bend you see, this is asp, this is the stupa, identical bulky pillars. They are separated by single pillar from the nave. Nave and the stupa, nave and the pillars are separated by again pillars. These are features that you need to note. Okay. And this is the horseshoe shaped windows or entrance. Horseshoe shaped windows that you observe. Observed in these cases. Entire thing is cut in stone. In the viharas, the pattern of vihara, see, viharas are not really like prayer halls. So the chances that vihara would have a very rigid standard or a standardization to be observed in vihara is very less. I mean, generally in the beginning they were all random. I mean, they didn't have a particular shape or a pattern or a system. But later they slowly became more regular. model more or less like regular style or regular pattern that we observe in these. Main features of vihara, they have square or oblong hall. Oblong is like a long elongated hall or a square hall. The hall is preceded in the front by a pillared veranda like this, like in the background that you are seeing. A number of square cells are provided like this. There is a square area. The cells and halls are usually provided with raised benches for the use of monks. They will have little raised platform types in the vihara. The most popular and earliest vihara in Western India is the Bhaja Vihara. Bhaja, Bedsa, Ajanta, Pithalkora, Nashik, and Karne. Among the Jain Viharas, those at Udaygiri, Khandagiri were very common and excavated during the time of Kharavela. This is in Odisha Kalinga period. This was mostly Sunga and later. Udaygiri, Khandagiri caves in Odisha. Some of them are provided with one cell and others are multi-cell constructions with an open courtyard in the front. The inner facade or inner shade of the cave consists of doorways mounted by semicircular arches above. The double-storied Rani Gumpha cave on Udaygiri Hills is the largest of all the caves that we see. The Rani Gumpha caves are the largest of all sorts of caves. These ones are Rani Gumpha caves. Double-storied Rani Gumpha caves. Udaygiri Khandagiri caves is a set. Kalinga king Karvela in the 1st and 2nd century BC built it probably somewhere nearer to the modern day Bhubaneswar. Udaygiri has 18 caves and 15 caves in Khandagiri. Udaygiri caves are famous for the Hathigumpa inscription which was carved out in Brahmi script, and Ranigumpa caves in Udaygiri are double-storied caves and have some of the most beautiful sculptures. See, the benefit of these double-storied caves and double-storied constructions is very clear. They clearly identify and highlight the perfection of cave architecture and stone architecture. They clearly identify and highlight the perfection of cave architecture and stone architecture of this period. Now, Karle Chaitya, most known for Shatavahana contribution, one of the most exquisite and best in class cave architecture. When we observe certain features of Karle Chaitya, we ourselves are shocked at the perfection they have in the architectural styles. Karle Chaityas have perfection, they're very good in the architectural styles that they have. Altogether, Karle has 16 caves in the group, with 3 of them being Mahayana caves. Most of the caves are basically called Lenas or kind of mountain peaks, with major exception of Great Chaitya cave number 8. The main cave, Great Chaitya cave number 8, features a large, intricately carved Chaitya, very detailedly carved Chaitya that you can see in the background here, or a prayer hall dating back to 120 AD. This Chaitya is one of the largest in South Asia. Probably constructed somewhere between 50 to 70 AD and 120 AD during the reign of Western Kshatrapa Nahapana, who even gave an inscription in this cave. Nahapana's contemporary were Shatavahanas. Okay. This cave is adorned with several vibrant sculptures. Okay. And this cave also houses one of the largest rock cut chaityas in India. One of the largest rock cut chaityas in India. the Karle Chaitya and its vaulted roof entrance. This is basically an artistic drawing and a stone structure or a wooden support structure of the Karle Chaitya. Probably what it may have looked like. Probably what it may have looked like inside. Bulky pillar design, vaulted roof, asp in the background, plus a very narrow nave. A very narrow nave that we see. Yes. Okay. Now, when we see the types of caves during this period, during the Maurya post-Mauryan period, there were plenty of types of caves. Let's say, for example, Buddhist caves. Buddhist caves were largely observed in the Western Ghats, and if you see a greatest chunk of these caves, around 1200 of them are actually surviving on the Western Ghats, and nearly almost all the caves of India, majority of them are Buddhist caves that we have, probably adorned and used by Buddhist monks. This Western Ghat region, Karle caves are carved in Lonavala near Pune, Western Ghats. Lonavala near Pune, Western Ghats, Ashish. Near Lonavala, near Pune, Western Ghats. Karle Chaitya is there only. From approximately 200 BC to 650 AD, the Buddhist monks kept on occupying earliest Kanheri caves. Earliest. These Kanheri caves were essentially another group of caves in the Western Ghats, 1st and 2nd century BC. They are also the earliest, you can say, set in the Ajanta group. Earliest set. Karle caves, Kanheri caves, Bhaja caves, and Dadse caves. Now, these were a set of caves. And guys, since today my system is not really working well, it is getting stuck in between, we will end this session here. We'll continue the same class tomorrow. Tomorrow we will see post-modern sculptures. Apart from the cave examples, we will see post-modern sculptures. The system is getting stuck. I need to withhold this class. Okay. We will have 3 more sessions where we will continue and we will finish up architecture. We will conclude architecture. That way we will be able to finish it off quite easily. Okay. Now this entire system is playing up. I think it's mainly because of that only. It's mainly because the memory is full. Must have been because of the memory squeeze. Nothing else. Okay. Good night, guys. We will end the session here, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow, same time, 10 p.m. we'll have a class.